welcome to Wire to Wire with Nolin RECC. I'm Communications Manager Sarah Fellows, and with me once again, President and CEO Greg Lee. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's good to see you face to face again.
Yes.
It's been a while.
With no mask on.
I know.
Yeah.
It's nice. So I'm really excited about our topic today. We're talking about our new subsidiary. But before we do that, always we talk about safety. So we have a safety moment, and of course, right now it's springtime. Everybody's kind of outside doing things, and I think you have some tips for us.
I'll just kind of do an all-encompassing seasonal safety update. So lots of people are going to be outside this time of year, whether it's doing yard work or things around their house or just recreational activities. So protect your skin, wear a hat, wear sunscreen, wear gloves if you're working. If you're going to be digging in your yard, doing any kinds of landscaping or planting trees, shrubs, flowers, etc., call 811 ahead of time. Very easy to hit like a telecom cable or, heaven forbid, something worse than that like electric or gas line.
Right.
So things like that, just very important this time of year. And then obviously if you're going to be out in the woods at all, make sure you put some bug repellent on. Don't need mosquito bites, ticks, or any kind of spread of disease like that.
We did learn the hard way last year with my daughter that seed ticks are a thing, and they're really hard to get off. So
yeah,
bug repellent, absolutely, 100% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Nolin has just announced a newly started subsidiary, Wide Open Utility Service.
Mm-hmm.
So just as kind of a blanket, what is that? Explain to us, what is Wide Open? What's it about?
So for all of the members and public at large, this is what it looks like. This is the logo for the subsidiary. And what Wide Open Utility Service is a for-profit LLC that is a wholly owned subsidiary of Nolin RECC. And we are using this subsidiary to do several different things to offer support and ancillary services for Nolin. So even though this organization is set up as a for-profit LLC, because we may do some for-profit work, the primary function of this organization is to support the core interest and mission of Nolin and its members. So the predominant things that we are doing from the get-go here are vegetation management services.
Right.
So right-of-way tree trimming, brush cutting, etc. All of that falls under the umbrella of vegetation management. We also have a couple of folks that we've hired that really offer all of our fleet maintenance program for all of the Nolin RECC trucks and equipment, all of the Wide Open trucks and equipment, to keep all of that stuff going.
Mm-hmm.
And then we are also getting into line locating. So all of our underground locates, we've hired a couple of people specifically to perform all of the locates on behalf of Nolin RECC. This ties in very closely with that 811 bit in the safety moment a minute ago. That's something that is a very labor-intensive and time-consuming thing for us, because we get line locate requests every day, dozens of them. So it takes up a lot of time, and it's something that you have to have really good quality control on to keep people safe.
Right.
So we put a lot of emphasis on that. And then also the one other aspect that we're covering with Wide Open at this time is to offer custodial services to support everything going on here across all three Nolin RECC offices, here, Radcliffe, and at Fort Knox. So really, kind of the way that I look at it is, when we first conceived of this idea internally, we talked about vegetation management and fleet maintenance. And here we are just a few months into this thing, and we've already added 2 new categories, line locating and custodial services. So I think it's very possible that just using this as a gateway or a pathway as support services that are needed for us to fulfill our obligations for the members become immediately relevant, we can potentially use this as a way of addressing those.
Well, and I it's become really apparent to me as I've really known Nolin that a big part of what we have to do, and I don't know that everyone would think that, is vegetation management. I mean, if a line is going in the middle of trees, there's some real issues that surround that. And so a huge cost for us, a huge time commitment for us has always been vegetation management, and the same with fleet services, especially. We've got a lot of large trucks back there, and if they're not running correctly, then that poses a much larger problem for us. So we've really broken down the services that are in some ways most needed for what we do, and then offer just a kind of a more sure support for that.
Right. I think a couple of ways to look at that is there is an inherent sunk cost of performing the work that we do. And everybody who operates a business or a utility like ours has to accept that there are those sunk costs. However, you do everything that you reasonably can to maximize and make the most efficient what you get done with those sunk costs. Well, as you can imagine, if we can't go out and build lines because our equipment isn't working properly, we lose a ton of efficiency on that cost that we're already losing because we got to pay payroll and benefits and for materials and hardware, etc. So really, I look at the fleet maintenance as a way to make sure that we're providing adequate security and insurance against the sunk costs that we have, and making sure that we're getting the most out of that money for our members. Vegetation management really follows the same principles. It costs something to keep the system running, but then if it's not running because a tree falls on it, now we're going to incur more expense. We got people who don't have lights on, which we take very seriously and very personally around here. It bothers us. It's our job, and we take a lot of pride in it. And just finding a way to make sure that we are maximizing the use of resources around here and getting the most out of it is really what this is all about. Vegetation management for a utility, one of our size, is a multi-million-dollar a year proposition. So if you can do some things to get some quality control, improve the quality of the work performed, and make sure that we are doing things in a manner that we're getting the most out of that tree trimming, it's going to be value added. And if we can, in conjunction with that, trim any of those costs out, we're really doing something good for our members.
So why a subsidiary? Why is that kind of where this unfolded?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. And really the most prevalent of those is that I wanted to set this up as a for-profit entity. So for example, we go out and we do tree trimming and right-of-way management, and we have, I think we've hired about 13 folks right now that are working in our vegetation management group. And they go out, and whether it's in a subdivision, in people's backyards, or across someone's farm, they are cutting on a regular basis. Historically, it's very common that whenever we're doing our routine cycle cut, we will get asked or solicited to cut down things that may not be in the right-of-way, but that a homeowner or a landowner may be interested in having taken care of for them.
Sure.
Well, I kind of reasoned to myself, there's some scales of efficiency for the members or the public and us, if we're there cutting anyway, if we could offer them some of those services that they would have to pay for, that is work outside of our duty that we're responsible for, we could do those things if there's an agreeable price to do them. If the member would like it done, we're there anyway. Maybe we can set something up and we both gain in the course of that transaction. So I wanted to be able to do things like that when the situation arises. Now, we're not necessarily soliciting for-profit work. I think some of that will happen organically, and I'm fine with that. We got to really get our bearings and make sure that we refine our process here over the first 6 months to a year of running the subsidiary to make sure that we're taking care of the core things that we need to.
Right.
And then we can see how much we can evolve and expand over time. So there's a few different ways that having this set up as a subsidiary helps Nolin RECC, but having a little bit better quality control versus maybe the use of some contractors, and having the dexterity for a lot of flexibility in the services we can offer, and also having some affordability and some expense reduction, I think is important. Now, the subsidiary, it obviously is supported by Nolin RECC. So there are some costs that are inherent to Nolin that are allocated to the subsidiary to make sure it's paying its fair share. And that's something that we have to do, one, for prudent business and accounting practices, and also for all of our reporting requirements with the Kentucky Public Service Commission. But there's a lot to be gained by having this subsidiary, and it really opens a lot of avenues to be able to take on different types of work that may come our way, or as things evolve over time, fall into our general responsibility. You know, the world is a quickly changing place, and as much as I think some of us wish we still had the days of you got the pole line and the wires and that's all there is to it, things are getting a lot more complex with networks, communication systems. There's just a lot of moving parts, and we have to have some mechanisms to be able to keep up with those changing needs of the membership.
Gives us some flexibility.
Yes, absolutely.
And this is subsidiaries aren't unheard of for cooperatives. Actually, I know quite a few cooperatives that have some version of that they offer.
That's right. Some co-ops have subsidiaries that perform telecom or broadband internet related services. We have some peers in the state. I think that there's about 4 of them that jointly operate a propane business subsidiary. So no, this is not an unheard of thing by any means. New to us right now, at least. But the concept itself is widely utilized across the country.
And so can you talk a little bit just about the distinction then between Nolin and Wide Open? So if someone says, I work for Nolin, so are they an employee of Wide Open, or is a Wide Open employee an employee of Nolin? Do you want to talk just a little bit about kind of how those two were distinguished? Sure.
So Nolin has employees, Wide Open has employees. Nolin is governed by the board of directors, which are democratically elected by the membership. The subsidiary, Wide Open, is operated by a manager who is me. So in a sense, I just consider it all to be part of my job, but technically I have a couple of titles now, CEO of Nolin and manager of the subsidiary. We have about 90 Nolin RECC employees, and I think about 15 or so total Wide Open employees. And though the logo on our shirts may be different, and though the aspects of our job may be different, I take a lot of pride in developing a very family-oriented culture around here by which a Nolin RECC employee and a Wide Open employee all understand all of us are part of the Nolin RECC family, and ultimately we're serving the same goal, we're on the same team, and we have the same interest in mind.
It's all about serving our members.
It's all about offering the best service that we can for our members, and it just so happens at this point in time, I think that utilizing a subsidiary is the best way to go about doing that.
Right. So we are hiring. Wide Open is hiring. Can you talk a little bit about job opportunities, career opportunities? If someone wanted to find a new job, or if they're looking for a job, or maybe fresh out of high school, looking for a new skill set, what are some things that somebody might be able to do working for Wide Open?
We got a few different pathways. So we've actually just been able to hire a few people, which is good. But if you are a hardworking young person and you enjoy the outdoors and you enjoy some physical labor, whether it's right now or at some point in the future, we may very well have an opportunity for you. Still have several vegetation management openings. So if you have a history or experience with tree trimming, we'd love to talk to you. If you don't know anything about tree trimming, but think you might want to learn, as long as you can work hard and show up on time, we'd love to talk to you. And then also maybe some opportunity in our fleet maintenance area. So if you enjoy working in mechanical area, you like working on trucks, cars, heavy equipment, have any experience with that, we'd love to talk to you. And then we also, anything that we have available, you update on the website, Facebook, etc. And then if anyone just has a general interest of being in our application pool, somebody can fill out an application at any time, whether we have a direct opening at that moment or not.
Right. And somebody doesn't need to be 18 years old to be able to be hired.
Yeah. So now, if all of those high school graduates out there, be great to talk with them, and this may be something that they could make a career out of. You
Right.
just never know with these things. When I started working here at Nolin when I was 19, I just was getting a summer job,
Right.
and here we are now.
Yeah.
So you just never really know where these things are going to end up. But definitely, if there's any young people getting out of high school out there, don't know exactly what they're going to do yet, come talk with us.
Yeah.
There may be an opportunity for both of us here.
And I got to take some pictures of the wide open gentlemen when they were out working, and that takes some really good skill. It's definitely a trade that you can learn and do multiple things with. I mean, in terms of tree trimming and also getting to drive some of the coolest equipment I have ever seen. That sky trim is just really cool to watch. And with mechanic services and those are skills that can be used in lots of different ways. So it's definitely a good career path to start if you're, like you said, like to work with your hands, like to be outside. There's just a lot of skills to be learned there.
Yep, absolutely. And these are things that, there's a lot of on-the-job training, but it's not just about learning the specific skill of your job. Whenever you work in a technical, physical trade like this, you just learn how to do stuff, and you learn how to think in mechanically inclined ways. And I can't express to young people who don't know that yet how much value that's going to add to your existence, just knowing how to do stuff. It's going to help you so much in the long run.
Absolutely. As a homeowner, I can absolutely agree with
Prime
that.
example.
Yeah.
There you go.
So is there anything that we're missing, anything else you want to make sure that everyone understands about Wide Open or its relationship with Nolin?
I think we've pretty much covered it all. I just want to drive home the reason it exists is to support the core objectives of Nolin RECC. That is goal number one and will remain goal number one. We would not be doing it unless we thought there was something to be gained for our members. And what we think there is to be gained is expense reduction for Nolin and increasing reliability, whether that is through keeping trees off the lines, keeping trucks rolling, all of the above. So we're doing it for the members. It would be much easier to not do anything and just keep the status quo, but we're here and we're responsible for these things for a reason, and you got to do what's best for the members, even if it's harder than what we've done in the past. That's our job.
Well, Greg, thank you for joining me again today. And thank you for watching our latest edition of Wire to Wire with Nolin RECC. If you would like more information about Wide Open Utility Service, you can go online at wideopenutilityservice.com or give us a call at our office at 270-765-6153.